Today I'm having a conversation with Melissa Wilson from Ask an Expert, Aim at Melanoma. She's a PA, physician's assistant, and we're talking about diet. Can you believe that? And I feel so terrible because I'm bringing these croissants over to Dr. Chi. I told her I feel bad because it's like I'm giving you poison. That stuff is pure poison. Hey, Melissa, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about yourself? What do you do? I mean, I know you're like Ask the Expert from Aim at Melanoma because that's how we met. But
yes,
tell us, how you got involved in doing what you're doing and what you do.
Sure. So I'm Melissa Wilson. I'm actually a physician assistant by training. I've been working at the University of Pittsburgh in the Melanoma Center since I graduated from PA school back in 2005. So I'm a little bit old. I have only been doing melanoma my entire career. So I guess that's where I get the expert hat. I got into being a physician assistant because my dad actually had leukemia when I was in college. And he had to go to Seattle, Washington for his transplant. And I live on the East Coast in Pittsburgh. And we flew out to Seattle, and this spectacular woman took care of him the entire time that we were there. And I was like, oh, what did you specialize in med school? She's like, honey, I'm a physician assistant. I'm like, what in the heck is that? Because back in 2003, that wasn't really mainstreamed on the East Coast. And so I met her, and I came home and withdrew my application to med school. And sooner than later, I was in PA school, and it's been written ever since. So, I have just like this huge passion for taking care of patients. And I found that over my career, the more educated your patients are and understand why you make the decisions that you make, the better that they will participate in their care with you. And that relationship can kind of grow. And so that's sort of where my push and passion towards being the Ask an Expert comes from, because I like to make sure that patients understand. It's less scary. They're more willing to do things. And so, that's my mission in life, is to make sure everybody understands, why and what is going on in their medical care.
Great. So, just for your information, I've got this daily vlog. I joined this Vlogmas challenge with this group in Houston called Vid Houston, and I did it last year as well. And I'm doing it this year. And it's like for the first 24 days of December, we put up a daily vlog on our YouTube channel. And it's been pretty fun. I interviewed my sister, I think last week, and we talked about holiday depression. And then I wanted to talk to you because a lot of the times I'm in those symposiums for Aim at Melanoma, and I listen to everything those doctors are saying because I have to sit there and listen to everything. And it's just so interesting how some of the stuff that they're saying to help, get through cancer treatment, but also, some of the things that might help prevent a little bit of cancer. I don't know if it's preventive, but because that's, I'm not a doctor or anything, but they say the same thing: diet, exercise, sleep. And so I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, well, when you think about it, like when you drive your car, you got to get your oil changed. You got to rotate your tires. You got to make sure all your maintenance things are functional. So it's the same thing with your cancer treatment. So when you have, are going through chemotherapy or immunotherapy, you want your body in its best peak performance. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to be an Olympic athlete, but it certainly means that you want to make sure that you're not poisoning your body with things that we know hurt it, and every day, that doesn't need to involve a 40-minute workout or all organic food, but certainly, the less that you do to hurt yourself, the better that you're going to do overall. And if you can get your car or your body working in regular, good maintenance, then you will innately do better with treatment, because there's not, you're not going to get a flat, and you're not going to, run out of oil halfway through the program. So, I think it's so innately important to just take care of yourself. And patients forget that. They're like, I'm doing chemo. I can eat whatever I want because I don't feel good. And that, while we want folks to be able to eat what they can, we also, don't want them to eat McDonald's and other fast food things that, we know cause inflammation, because that's the root cause of more problems. So.
It's kind of funny because this is one of the things that inspired me. So I stopped eating sugar completely, right? All kinds of refined sugars. I just cut it out of my diet. And one of the things that sparked that is I was working in a symposium, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years ago. And one of the doctors said that the first thing they tell their patients is to stop eating sugar. And then what went on in the process that went on in my mind was like, okay, if they're telling cancer patients to stop eating sugar, then maybe I shouldn't be eating sugar, even though
right.
I don't have cancer, So, right. So it's like, let's talk a little bit about that. Like, why stop eating sugar?
Yeah, so it's hard because, you can't stop eating all sugar. So your body, its energy source is carbohydrates. So you need sugar, but you need to get that sugar in natural form. So fruits and vegetables, processed things don't have that natural sugar. So when your doctor, just to clarify, because I know people are going to run out and be like, I can't eat sugar ever again. But truth be told, when you're saying no sugar, you're saying no sugar that's fake. So
I cut out
bad stuff.
I cut out refined sugars. I did not stop eating natural sugars, right? Like fruits and that I didn't. But it was just
so you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And the basis for that kind of thinking is that refined sugars actually create inflammation in the gut. So your gut is, or when we say that, we mean like your small intestine and your large intestine. That's where like the vast majority of your immune system comes from. And when it's an inflamed environment from things like refined sugars and fast food, it actually causes your immune system to sort of freak out, and it leaks bad things into your immune system. And then it makes your immune system less functional. So when they tell you don't eat sugar or don't eat refined sugar, it's really because we want to prevent that inflammatory response that really sort of, short circuits your immune system to make it not functional. So, I bet you feel better, right? Like,
oh yeah, I feel great. Yeah. But so then now let's go back to, this is happens regardless, right, of whether you have cancer or not. So it's kind of like it's one of those things. Like, I know when I was talking to my sister about depression, right? She said, you need to cut out sugars. That helps. And I do feel better. But then it's interesting how, they're saying this to cancer patients. Hey, watch your diet, get better sleep. But then really fundamentally, we should be doing that regardless.
Yes, this is a definite preventative measure. So, the general public in every sense of the word should be avoiding refined sugars and processed foods in general, because all of those things contain this inflammatory response. And they've actually linked folks that have a very high refined sugar, high processed food diet to things like colon cancer, depression, anxiety. There's so much data out there that just shows that, regardless of being a cancer patient, eating a more natural, less processed diet really does so many beneficial things for you. It improves sleep, it improves mood, it prevents all of those free radicals from getting loose in the body, which cause cancer. So, you're doing yourself a favor in this regard.
Yeah. And now, because it's interesting, my daughter used to be a nurse, and now she's in medical school because she wants to be a doctor. But when she was a nurse, we had a little conversation, and she said most of the people in the hospital, it's because of their lifestyle choices. It's not because, and that made sense. And that goes back to what we're talking about, right? The diet,
exactly.
The sleeping, getting a little extra, not being an Olympic athlete, but, doing something that's getting your cardio up and aerobic and doing some kind of exercise. So, could that prevent skin cancer?
So, obviously one of the biggest things that causes skin cancer is UV damage. So,
UV damage,
it's basically like frying your skin when you go outside and get radiation from the sun. So obviously that is a huge component. But when you think about and and this is a little bit sciencey, but when you think about what causes the cancer in the first place, it's because your body doesn't like correct the DNA damage that whatever XYZ caused. So,
Yeah.
It's a stretch, but when you think about, okay, if UV damage causes my cancer, my skin cells to be broken,
Yeah.
my immune system should clean that up because that's
Yeah.
its job. But if your immune system is bad because of not sleeping well and having too much stress and not eating well and all of the above, then it can't do its job correctly. And so that goes back to like the car analogy. If you don't rotate your tires and take care of them, like you're basically trying to function with 3 tires. It can't work. If you're not taking care of yourself as a whole, your immune system can't do what it's supposed to. So, it's a huge thing that now that we kind of have a little bit of a footing in treatment in cancers and skin cancer and every other kind of cancer, now folks are really starting to look at, what do all of these holistic things really impact? And they're finding that the better people take care of themselves, the less complications they have, the better their responses are, but also the less likely they are to get the cancer in the first place. Not to get too off track, but there's actually a clinical trial that is in the process where patients take this thing called broccoli sprout extract, which is, just really, really high in antioxidants. And you can eat this. You don't have to be in a trial. But what they initially found with the small population of patients is that folks that took this extract, which is like the equivalent of eating green leafy vegetables for like every meal of the day, they had less atypical cells in their moles. And so it lends back to what you were originally asking, can a healthy diet affect skin cancer? And the answer pretty much is yes. I mean, it certainly can help prevent those cells from being screwed up in the first place.
And then that goes back to the famous saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Oh my gosh, so much in so many ways. I mean, and if I could go back and redo the teenage years of my life, I feel like I would go back and do things a lot differently. But, there's your cells in your body regenerate every, 5 to 7 years completely. Like you're a new cellular person. And so, it's not too late to redo those things now, which is good. I mean, it's not going to erase all of the damage that's already been done, but it certainly will help prevent new things from happening.
Yeah. And that was like me too. Like if I could go back, I would change things. Like I used to drink a lot, right? When I was younger, much younger.
Oh yeah. College was not a good time for me with that for sure.
And the funny thing is that, what sparked me to stop drinking alcohol is, one day I was in a nightclub and I got in this fight. Right. And when I walked out, so let me give you some backstory. Right. So I've been doing martial arts my whole life. I teach martial arts. I'm just like one of those people that you don't want to mess with, I don't I don't look that strong. I don't, and people like, I don't know. So I was in this club and I guess this person just singled me out and wanted to pick on me. And it escalated. And after about 2 hours of this guy, just antagonizing me, and it got very escalated. Like, I think I did really, really good controlling it to that point, but if I wouldn't have been drinking, it wouldn't have gone past that point, and I picked him up by the neck. I think I ruptured his, some of the discs in his neck, and his friend was going to jump me from behind, but I kind of threw him into his friend. And, and they just were shocked, they had to call the ambulance and all, it was a big, big deal. And then, when I walked out of there, I thought to myself, if I wouldn't have been drinking, this would have never happened. Right. But so I stopped drinking. I don't touch alcohol. And then that was one of the things also that impressed me about the doctors. They said, cut alcohol out of your diet. Right. And then I've seen a huge change in myself also because I stopped drinking. And I think, so what do you think about that? I mean, does alcohol, I know,
I mean, for sure. I mean, alcohol, all of it goes back to the inflammation that all these bad things cause. I mean, your body is designed to process things in a very natural state. So, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, like that's what it's supposed to do. Alcohol is not a natural substance.
Yeah.
Cheeseburgers and French fries fried in oil are not natural substances.
Yeah.
So, all of those things, it all goes back to the inflammation that it causes. And there's this really cool website that it's called the Zoe Project. And they actually go through like all of this really understandable science that they make in the most basic form to tell you how all of this inflammation actually affects all of the things. Like when folks kind of go through this course, like, so you can like buy a course on the Zoe Project, but all the information on there is free. But like you go through this training and they're saying that, people have better, like less acne, less sleep disturbance, mood disturbances, their anger is more manageable. There's just so many benefits of cutting these inflammatory agents out. And what are they? It's alcohol, processed foods, refined sugars, all of the things that we know we really shouldn't be doing anyway. But it also includes like heavy amounts of caffeine, tobacco. And gosh, people have been saying this for hundreds of years. We shouldn't be doing all of these things, but we still do, and one thing that I really like about the information that I found on that website is that you don't have to be cold. I mean, in your case, cold turkey alcohol, like that's a totally different thing. But, if you have a drink at Christmas time with your family at dinner, it's not going to undo the 364 days of you doing good things for yourself. It really is like repetitive use of those foods and things that can cause the problem.
Unless you're an addict. Right?
Unless you're an addict.
Yeah, correct. That one drink.
Then that's a problem. One drink is all over.
But so how do you spell Zoe? Because that's interesting. I'd like to put that up there.
It's ZOE. I can actually hook you up with the link to that. It's like an international project to try to get data to really support these findings, because really up until now, it's all of these recommendations that are sort of scattered all over the place, but there's not a database of real information.
And that's really interesting, to the way you're bringing it back all to inflammation. It's like all these things cause inflammation, which cause problems, right? And and one of the things I've noticed, like I'm always like trying to do these healthy things, right? So a couple of, maybe like about 2 months ago or 3 months ago, I started on one meal a day. And then I did notice a huge dip. Now, I'm older. I'm 51 years old. So one meal a day is easy to do because of my metabolism. I don't get hungry. Like when I was younger, I think I fasted for a day and it was tough. I mean, it was really hard,
Yeah.
But now it's like, it's really easy. I feel better. I feel lighter. I do like, it's like I do have like my sinuses inflame often, but I haven't felt that at all ever since. It's like, so I can notice that inflammation in my body's going down, And so what do you think about that?
I mean, well, I had a similar experience. So last year, I don't remember what time of the year, but last year I did a webinar for AIM about diet.
Yeah.
And in prepping for that and talking about inflammation in the microbiome, I actually, for 1 month, changed my diet completely. I drank a gallon of water a day. I only ate when I was hungry. And when I did eat, I would eat completely non-processed foods. Like everything was, from the outside of the supermarket, broccoli, all that, nothing. I cut grains out, like, unless it was, whole wheat bread that was like ancient grains or whatever. I really didn't eat any of that processed food. I was a totally different person. Like my skin felt better. I have really bad knees from like arthritis from playing sports my whole life, and my knees didn't hurt. I was happier. I have this like puffiness to my face all the time that I blame on drinking, 27 coffees a day. But I cut all of that out, and I was drinking tea, and I just felt better. And so, I'm somewhere in the middle now in my regular life. But truly that 30 days was life-changing. And it was tough as can be for the first like 10. But then my body started to crave good foods. And there's science behind that, because good bacteria actually craves more good bacteria. And you find those things in natural foods. So you get addicted to eating healthy, which is actually kind of funny.
I loved I loved your talk on diet when you had it because I was there. I was behind the scenes, right?
I know.
And I remember you got into the gut biome and how the gut biome changes and how it can change in one meal. And
Hmm.
so if you eat one good meal, you've changed your gut biome in a
Yep,
good way. So I
you
thought that was
have.
really powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like you can change your bacteria change with every single thing you put in your body. And so
Yeah.
the more times that you put good bacteria in there with healthy foods and less processed things, the more that your body wants that. And it's funny because back in that webinar, I actually had found data where gastroenterologists had said that you can eat amazingly well for the majority of your year, and just 4 or 5 days of eating poorly
Yeah.
completely resets the bad bacteria in there, and you have to
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
start over again. So
Yeah.
really consistency is huge in terms of taking care of yourself.
And that is amazing, and it's like sad in one way
Yeah.
because four meals will reset you back, but
Right.
but at the same time, it's amazing that how you can change it back to good, right?
Yeah, it's
So
just what, okay, I fell off the log. It's Christmas
yeah,
time. I've eaten my body weight in cookies, but guess what? Tomorrow I can, eat salad and
yeah,
and
it's like
other
that.
good things.
It's like that famous story. I don't know if you've heard this story, but there's a story about a kid that he goes up to. It's like I think maybe it's an Indian story, like an American Indian story. But he goes up to the one of the warriors and he says like, "Hey, I've got this bad wolf and I've got this good wolf, but I want to be the good wolf. But it seems
Hmm.
like this bad wolf is always taking over." So the elder says to him, "Well, you know, the one, no, I think the kid asked him, so which one's going to win? Am I going to become bad or am I going to
Right.
become good?" And then the elder says to him, "Well, the wolf that you feed the most will become strongest." So
Hmm.
it kind of like, I know I messed the story up completely because I read it
No,
like,
it was pretty good. That's actually the general gist of it.
so it's
But
amazing
it's
how
true.
this wisdom from like hundreds and hundreds of years ago is like the same as today.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Whatever you feed the most. Well, it's like, the whole adage of we have good and bad inside of us, and
Yeah.
whichever one you allow to be loose the most, that's the one that's going to be defining you. So,
Yes. Yeah. And then, like a lot of times I'm with my friends and they're like, well, what you're not enjoying life because I don't drink alcohol. I don't eat sugar. So, it's like, they say you're not enjoying life, man. You have to have balance. You have to, and then they like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to live a long time? And, they kind of try to attack me. And,
hmm,
and I think that's interesting because, and I think that's the hardest part for
yeah.
people to try to become a little bit more healthier is that the society that we're in does not support that. You
No,
know?
no, you definitely are in the minority. I mean,
Yeah.
I can remember last year when I was doing that project, I had gone to my mom's and she was making dinner and she's like, "Why don't you want to eat spaghetti?" I was like, "Well, because it doesn't fit with what I'm trying to do right now," and she would not let it go. And
Yeah.
that little bit of the naysayers, they come at you, but
Yeah.
you can say back to them, "Well, okay, I don't drink, but I feel so much better and I get things accomplished and I
Yeah.
like myself." And and to me, it got to the point where, like, when I would eat frozen grapes or something that I would make that had natural sugars in it, I
Uh-huh.
felt it was delicious to me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wasn't like, boy, I wish I could eat 20 cookies. I didn't want that.
Yeah.
It's so what's good for them is not necessarily what becomes good for you.
Yeah, and I always tell my friends, like kind of like your car analogy. I always tell my
Hmm.
friends that, I say, well, you're like a regular Toyota Tercel, and you can just put anything in your gas tank. You can put
Yep.
regular fuel, you can put super, you can put it's not going to affect you. But I like, and I exercise a lot. I teach martial arts, so there was times where I was working out 7 hours a day. So
Jeez.
so I tell them, I say, well, I'm like a race car and I can only eat the special kind of fuel.
That's right. I'm extra human. I have to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah. So then so I think that's the hardest part is society. And I think, people that want to change, the easiest thing to do is to change their environment, you know?
Hmm.
So, and then that goes back to the famous saying, be careful who you hang out with.
Yeah, and you can find people out there that are doing the same thing as you. And it's funny because, when I started to feel better and look better and everything changed over that 30 days, folks at work were like, "Oh, what are you doing? You seem happier.
Yeah.
Your skin looks great. Look how much your hair grew." And so, then people get on your team.
Yeah.
So, being a positive influence for yourself and other people really attracts those people to you. And you just need to be like, well, look, you don't want to be on my team. You don't have to be on my team. You can go back there. I'm going to be out here leading the pack.
Well, this has been a great conversation, Melissa. I really appreciate you and just getting to talk to you about this. Now, you have your own show, right? It's
I do.
from the clinic to the living room, right?
Correct. So that's a webinar that we put out, and it also is broadcast live on Facebook. It was monthly last year. This year, we're doing it just quarterly to try to preserve some of the excitement for that. I'm helping with a podcast so I'm from the clinic to the living room, and it's Beyond the Clinic is the podcast with Ray. And then I also have my own up and coming YouTube channel with actually it's just full education about melanoma. So it's called Melanoma 101.
Yes, that's right. That's going to be exciting. I know I got the first 6 videos already that I have to put up to YouTube. And then we've got to talk about a publishing schedule too, right? So
I think it's going to be bi-weekly for the next year. And then if I get really inspired and make more videos, we might increase the frequency. But for right now, it's just going to be every other week.
YouTube is such a powerful tool to get your message out. I love YouTube. I actually, there's one client that I have that he does financial planning. And we started 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, I remember he'd get like 20 views and he'd get 30 views and, sometimes 54 views and then it'd go back to 7 views. And then like all of a sudden, now he's getting like 10,000 views, 100,000 views, 200,000 views. So, but it's that consistency, uploading on a consistent schedule and then providing valuable content because there are billions of people out there. So like for your message and educating people for melanoma, I mean, so how many melanoma cases in the United States per year, do you know?
Oh my gosh. I think it's about, from the statistics, which obviously are old because they're from, 2 years ago, it was like 9,800 some new cases per year. And that ranges from the terrible ones to the, melanoma in situ early stage. But, it's rising and, and it's a plight that younger people now are experiencing. So we really want to get the messages out there. And,
definitely.
I'm hoping that as I cover, like I start at the beginning, like we literally in our education start from the very beginning, like how do I make a melanoma on my skin happen? And then we're going to kind of go through it. And I'm hoping, to get some suggestions via the YouTube for other topics. So it kind of just continues to culminate itself. And before we know it, we'll have an army of really educated people out there, which is the goal. So
I hear that in Australia, 1 in 3 people get skin cancer. Which is
and it's funny because Australia, for the incidents that they have, because they're like at the equator essentially, they actually do the best job in prevention. They have so many programs to prevent skin cancer that you really can't beat them. They're both the highest incidence, but also the best at prevention, believe it or not.
Wow. Well, Melissa, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you. I appreciate everything you're doing. And, I look forward to watching your YouTube channel and seeing it grow too.
Thanks, Erik. This is a wonderful collaboration. I'm happy to come on and chat with you any day.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for that conversation and sharing that with us on this channel. I hope that it's brought some value into your life. Those 3 basic things, here we have an expert in skin cancer telling us that diet, exercise, and sleep are 3 very important factors. We had my sister Karen talking about those 3 same factors and how important they are in helping us stay a little more positive in life. And we have Melissa helping us, telling us that those are very impactful in our whole body, in our whole system. And I hope in a small way that might help you think more about your daily life and what you're doing and how your choices impact your overall health, your well-being, and your mental state of mind. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We've got 2 more days for the Vlogmas challenge. Actually, wait, today's the 23rd. Tomorrow's the 24th. Tomorrow is supposed to end, but maybe, just maybe, I will continue.